Immersing myself in nostalgia, I turned the essay over to check out what I'd scribbled on it.
Do not be afraid.
Actually, HQ gave me the boot. Wait, they fired him?!
Hello?
What the frick was that?! How's it going, everybody? HoodlaMutt here, back with some more Chaos Head, Noah. And last time, we didn't find out a ton, other than that Ayase was kind of tortured at the Ark Medical Facility, or whatever it was called. Ark Heart, something like that. Yeah, when she was there, when she was younger, she was, like, tortured, and it, like, mentally broke her, which is consistent with what Senna said about Gigalomaniacs needing their minds to be broken before they can, like, understand how to find their sword and stuff. So, we're seeing this slowly happening. We know it's happening to Takumi. His mind's been breaking left and right. So now it's going to be a matter of seeing when Senna's mind broke and how that happened. If Demi's mind broke, which I have a feeling it didn't because she's not real. Or at least not real to us specifically, like she's not in our same space. And then seeing how Nanami's mind broke. We can assume that Yua's mind broke because of her sister's death, right? That makes sense. And she kind of snapped because of that to some degree. But other than that, we didn't learn a whole lot. It just seemed like Suwa was maybe trying to maybe go behind Bonsan's back, right? You know? Trying to figure out if maybe he's not having the whole truth being told to him. And so he's trying to get information on his own. And then, yeah, Takumi just found out about the 7th New Gen case, so there wasn't really a whole lot to go over. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I guess with that, let's just get back into it, shall we?
Yeah, you big dum-dum. I've been waiting for so long. Just waiting for ya. I absolutely hate you. But darn it, I love you too.
Gosh, darn it. I stared in a daze at Seratan as she moved around the monitor. The final episode of Bloodtune had aired deep into last night. The story was gradually getting more and more intense, and the ep had received particularly high praise on @channel. This was the 3rd time I'd seen it, but none of it was really sticking with me. I checked the time and saw that it was past 10 p.m. Demi had left at around 8. While she'd been here, she'd encouraged my depressed self in many ways, and she'd said so many nice things to me. Thanks to her being by my side, I'd felt less lonely today than the entire week prior. That being said, Demi still wasn't taking the situation all that seriously. It felt almost like she was avoiding talking about New Gen entirely. Maybe she was just done with it. With me. Her friend had been hurt in the earthquake, and it sounded like she already had a lot on her plate with just that. She probably just didn't have any room left to bother with me and my problems. But the issue with that was, while, yes, I was probably way too paranoid, there was no doubt that this was a genuinely dangerous situation. I could be killed today, even. Shogun had been coming after me all this time. Persistent, didn't even begin to cover it. If I could just understand what he was doing, or why he was doing it, then I could work out some countermeasures.
By the waysies, the homeless man told Kozuki a thing before he left. And the most special among you is the boy who birthed Whose Eyes Are Those Eyes?
Yeah, right. Whose eyes are those eyes? You could hear those words all over Shibuya by now. On the net, it becomes synonymous with the culprit. It was a phrase I'd used pretty often for a really long time. It was without a doubt a message from Shogun, who knew that. Either that, or an intentional way of provoking me. When had I first started using that phrase? It felt like someone had taught it to me. I vaguely remembered the first time I'd used it. It was an essay written back in elementary school. The title was that very same phrase, Whose Eyes Are Those Eyes? I'd almost completely forgotten what I'd actually written in it. I wanted to check it now. What had I written in that essay? It was probably stored at my parents' place. Though, I had a feeling they might have thrown the old thing away by now. Then again, when it came to things that were pretty important to me as a kid, I did have a habit of storing them in a big empty candy tin I'd used to call my treasure box. The essay could potentially have been in there. What to do? Should I go to my parents? But... I didn't want to show my face to Nanami. I wouldn't know what to say. I really am a useless piece of crap. I sluggishly rose from my seat, then collapsed onto the sofa.
Gah! Why are you here? You've got it all wrong. It's not like soba from the street vendors is my favorite food or nothing. What do you think you're grinning at, you big dum-dum? Ooh, you've got me real mad now. Howl Samurai Condenser!
Lying face up, I gazed at the ceiling while ignoring Sadatan's protesting. That dreary, bare steel ceiling. That looks like drop ceiling, though. Well, kinda. I guess drop ceiling is in segments, so I guess not. It's more like a mudded ceiling or whatever that you'd see in like a like in a double wide or something like that, you know? Unlike my room at my parents' house, there wasn't a single groove in the ceiling that looked like a person's face. Suddenly, in the corner of my vision, I noticed a familiar tin sitting by the eroge packages piled up on my loft bed. Is that? I hurriedly stood up and climbed the ladder to get a closer look. Did he, make that come into existence? It was a reddish-brown, rectangular tin, about the size of a B5 piece of paper. The word shortbread was written on the lid in white letters. There was no mistaking it. It was my treasure box. I must have brought it from my parents' place, though I definitely didn't remember doing so. GJ me. Always thinking ahead. Nah, dude, you freaking delusioned that into existence, my man. Oh, dang, and he still won't admit it. Okay. I quickly grabbed the tin and opened the lid. Inside were a few test answer sheets, essays, scraps of paper torn out from sketchbooks, and so on. It was mostly all paper, but there were still a couple small objects in there. I took all the pages from the tin at once, then began flipping through them for my target. It didn't take long to find. After all, it was at the very top. Dude, that's a coincidence, man. Or that can't be a coincidence, I guess is what I'm saying. The essay paper had faded in color. The handwriting, not even a mother could call it good. Could this essay be hiding some kind of important secret? Something Shogun was particularly exploiting? Something that had to do with why the homeless man had referred to me as the most special. With a gulp, I began to read it one word at a time, being careful not to overlook anything. Okay. Whose eyes are those eyes? Nishijo Takami, Class 4-3. I dream a lot. In my dreams, older me visits me in a time machine. He doesn't look like me at all. Wait, dude, wait, though! Are we the older him visiting him as Shogun? Like, does he look old to us, but he's actually, like, little us from forever ago, like I've been thinking? And those aren't actually dreams? Frick, what does that mean? What does it mean? His time machine has a lot of buttons. I think if you push one, a shower or some shampoo or something comes out. I asked older me how it works, and he said you could go see dinosaurs or even go back to when cavemen were around. He asked me what I'm bad at in school, and I said I'm bad at math. Relatable. He told me there was a switch that would make me really good at math. I tried to push it once, but he got mad. He said I had to work hard and get better by myself. That was the only time he got mad at me. After he stopped being mad, he was super nice, so I was happy. He told me about the girl I was gonna marry. That's a secret. I asked him about God. He told me God is real. Based? I think he's real too. My mom said God is always watching, and he'll make you go to hell if you do bad things. Okay, well, part of that's based, the other part's not entirely true, but that's a different story, I suppose. That's another can of worms I guess I can open up at a different time. So I can absolutely never do bad things. I have to be nice to my little sister, too. All right, I'll explain it now. I can't let that slide. Like, in my spirit, I can't let that slide. God doesn't really send anybody to hell. See, the concept is that he's so holy, right? Because he's perfect and completely holy, that if anything that tries to enter heaven isn't perfectly holy, then the only place they can go is outside of his presence, which means hell, because hell is the only place that is outside of God's presence, and it was made for the demons and Satan and all that, right? So that's why hell is so bad, because it has no God there, and the opposite of God is evil and pain and suffering and all the horrible things that we've come to know on Earth, right? But even more so because God's presence is still here on Earth. It's just not like the same as it is in heaven, right? So because of that, if someone, it's not really about doing bad things. It's about whether or not, you know, that you've been saved or not, right? Because you're already condemned upon birth, right? So it's like if someone goes to heaven and they don't know who Jesus is, then they are unholy because there's nothing they can do to make themselves clean except through Jesus. And so they literally have to go to hell. It's not like God is saying, you're not good enough, you suck. You know, it's not like something of that nature. So it's literally like, if you think of it like a magnet, when you put two negatives together and it forces them apart, that's basically the same concept. So that person literally has to go to hell because they can't be in the presence of God. When Moses tried to look at God, God said, well, I'll come to you, but I can't show you my face, because if I show you my face, you'll surely die, which is to say, his face being like his presence. If I come to you with my full presence, you'll just perish, because holiness literally destroys unholiness like that, you know? So that's how it works. It's not really like, you know, this thing where it's like, you know, just being hateful or something like that. So couldn't let that slide, sorry. I had to explain it. Mom told me God doesn't watch you do bad things, but that it's a scary man instead. What? Wait, huh? The scary man is the whose eyes are those eyes monster. He makes you go to hell if he sees you. Okay, wait, okay, wait, what are you talking about? What is this? The boogeyman? God's eyes, and whose eyes are those eyes, are in the sky, the ceiling, the walls, and there's a lot of them in my school, and they're watching me no matter what. So I think I have to do a lot of good things like studying and other stuff because of that. It's embarrassing though, because they watch me even when I do things like go to the toilet or take a bath. Also, ever since I was little, I could close my eyes and dream sometimes, even though I wasn't sleeping. It was like the inside of my head was like a video game or a manga. But when I do that, the whose eyes are those eyes monster comes out, so I don't want to do that. I asked my mom, and she told me not to do it. But while writing this essay, I asked older me in my dreams to tell me more about the time machine, but he said I knew everything. He wouldn't tell me more stuff because I'm just a kid. So, from now on, I want to do lots of good things so I can beat whose eyes are those eyes. The end. Huh. What the frick? So he's saying his mom told him that. My brain, I can't even... How am I supposed to have conspiracy theories if I can't even have any material to theorize off of? I don't understand. This is so... Okay. Anyway. None of this makes any sense. This would have been around the time when I'd first started feeling God's gaze. Maybe I was going through some sort of a phase back then? Either way, trying to understand anything from this extremely cryptic essay was beyond impossible. It felt like it'd be easier to decipher a bunch of hieroglyphics than it would be trying to figure out what the heck I'd been talking about. As I thought that, I noticed that something was scribbled on the back of the page. Come to think of it, hadn't I loved doodling back then? Yeah. Like in my social studies textbooks, the pictures of historic figures would always have mustaches or sunglasses drawn on them, and my notebooks would always have flipbook-esque animations drawn in the corners. Yo, that's based. I used to do the same thing, except I wasn't talented enough to do the animation, so I just drew like funny faces on the different pictures that were in my textbooks. I totally did that as well. Dang, that's got to be the creative minds here, because he said he was bad at math. I was terrible at math too. I only know enough math to get me by, baby. If it's not important to my daily life, I don't care. That's why I hated doing algebra. I never had to do calculus, luckily, because of the route I took. But, yeah, algebra sucks. And statistics and all that bullcrap, okay? I'm just saying. They're very niche things that you need. You don't need them in everyday life. You know what I didn't learn? I didn't learn how to do taxes. I had to figure that out. I had to ask family for that crap. I didn't learn how to write a check. I didn't learn how to freaking figure out how sales work when you go to the store and, like 30% versus stuff. Like, we learned percentages, but not in, like, realistic environments to figure out how they apply to your life. It's like, what the frick, man? Why am I learning freaking, like, college-level algebra when I'm never going to use it? I hated that. Anyway, sorry, don't get me started. Rant over. Back then, I'd started enjoying drawing more and more, to the point where I'd even gotten my parents to buy me a sketchbook. Although, to clarify, it wasn't like my drawings were anything to write home about. Immersing myself in nostalgia, I turned the essay over to check out what I'd scribbled on it. Uh-oh. Eee. Gross. Disgusting. Giant eye. It looks like a freaking realistic angel, like a biblically accurate angel. Just like Do not fear. Don't be afraid. It was an incomprehensible drawing. But while it was definitely incomprehensible, there was still something familiar about it. Something I'd seen recently. IR2, which is the title of this chapter. Interesting. I wonder what that means. So the monster equals IR2? Is that what that means? Or is it fun to the 10th power times intelligence to the, what is that, 40th or 40-something power, maybe? Okay. Whether it was a mathematical formula, had some other kind of meaning, or was just a meaningless string of numbers and letters, I had no idea. But oh, frick, he sent that to us. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Yeah, oh no, what does that mean? Also, fun probably means function, right? Function to the 10th power times intelligence. Maybe that's not intelligence, maybe that's something else. I don't know math. Oh, frick. Oh, what did that mean? What did that mean when Shogun said that? I don't even remember that conversation well enough to even hypothesize. Frick. Okay. This formula. It was the exact same one Shogun had posted out of nowhere, back when he'd first come in contact with me in the chat room. Whose eyes are those eyes? And IR2. Two key things that come from the essay I'd written many years ago. Things that even I myself had forgotten. And if Shogun knew them, that would mean that he'd been reading my mind after all. Or that he is you freaking dope. Oh, gosh dang it. Oh, back with Bond, baby. Anytime things get sad or weird or scary, Bond's always there to pick me back up, man. Every time, man. Gosh, I freaking love Bond. All right, here we go. With the Frisia reception room, or rather the narrow space partitioned off by a few shelves being used as one, Bond sat deep in concentration, scanning through a number of files. Opposite to him sat Yua, huddled up and making herself small. She had been taking frequent glances at Bond in an attempt to read his expression. From an outsider's perspective, it appeared almost like a child showing their parent their report card. Bond was currently reading the report of everything Yua had investigated concerning the new gen cases at Nishijo Takumi. It also included the chat log between Takumi and Shogun from the day prior to the crucifixion case. As a result of her findings, Yua had concluded that Takumi was undoubtedly the true culprit behind the new gen cases. So, did I say undoubtedly? I meant undoubtedly. Anyway, that's the thing though, right? So anytime they say something, I can almost usually guarantee that's not it, right? Almost every time. Because they're saying that it's him, and it kind of feels like, yeah, it probably is him because he denies it every time. But also the fact that they're saying that to me makes me feel like it can't be him. Or like not the Takumi we've been playing as, right? You know what I mean? Like maybe Shogun, and that's Takumi from when he's at a different, world line type age, whatever garbage. I don't know what you want to call that because this isn't Steins Gate, but you know what I mean? So like that's got to be why Yua thinks it's DID, because she's like, I know that you wouldn't probably do it, and you're so convinced that you didn't do it, but I know that you did it, therefore you must have a different personality inside of you. So, I don't know. Oh, I don't know. This is quite something. Did you investigate all of this on your own?
Yes. More or less.
Yua hung her head apologetically in response to Momose's praise. She stared at the Ghetto Froggie straps hanging from the bag below her feet. She was speaking with a detective and the boss of an investigation firm. In terms of investigating, they were as professional as one could get. Compared to their prowess, information gathered by the investigation of an ordinary high school girl would be akin to childish scribblings. And yet, despite the supposed gap, Ban and Momose found themselves both impressed by the quality of the report. You have a good eye for this. Pretty well researched. This part about Nishijo Takumi having more than one personality is particularly interesting. Nishijo Takumi has multiple personalities. When the original Nishijo Takumi goes to sleep, what is essentially another personality becomes active and has been perpetrating the murders. A pretty interesting idea, all in all. But, well, it might be just a skosh too unrealistic.
Excuse me, but, Detective, do you really not think that Nishijo-kun is the culprit?
Should I just lay it all out? Her face stiffened, but after a moment, Yua nodded. In our eyes, the police's eyes, Nishijo Takumi is not a suspect. Interesting.
Oh? Is that so?
Not just Yua, but Momose gaped in amazement as well. A wry smile formed on Ban's lips. He leaned back in his seat and rested the back of his head in his hands. Or, at the very least, Nishijo's innocent in regards to the crucifixion case. The stakes that crucified the body had fingerprints on them. We got Nishijo's fingerprints and tried comparing them, but they didn't match up one bit.
That can't be.
Yua was turning paler by the second. Her lips trembled. Now that everything she had believed in had collapsed beneath her feet, feelings of guilt at the awful things she had said to Takumi encroached upon her heart. So interesting, so they're saying it's not his fingerprints, which makes sense because it was Dimi that did it, right? So if Dimi did it, then freaking... But I think she's not real though, so I can't. Why is everything real and not real at the same time? It's not fair. I can't make any sense of anything. It's not fair. Okay, all right. Whatever. I guess we'll just keep moving forward. No sense in pondering it because I can't even conjure an idea. Any idea that comes to my mind is just freaking thrown out because I'm like, well, no, it's probably a delusion. Or if I think it's a delusion, I'm like, well, that could be reality, so maybe it's not fake. I don't know anymore. Oh. Thanks to the fingerprints on the stakes, we've almost managed to pin down a suspect. Though we haven't announced it to the public. I should mention, it was all thanks to Suwa.
So while Suwa-chan is out there working his buns off, you're over here taking it easy. That poor boy.
Actually, HQ gave me the boot.
Wait, they fired him? No way, that's why he was investigating on his own, because they fired him! No, dude! Oh, Bon, no, you don't deserve that. Bon, no, my boy. Oh, that sucks. What?
The boss may or may not have found out that I'd been skipping out on proper investigating, so I could look into the GE rate and whatnot. This was the reason why his subordinate, Suwa, had been the one to inform him of the 7th incident. There had been no reason for anyone else to call an investigator that was no longer working the case. Oh, that's why it was just Sua by himself. He wasn't freaking going behind Bond's back. He was still keeping him informed because he wanted to freaking still work with him. Oh, no, why, Bond? Frick. That sucks.
I can't believe you. This is exactly why you need to conduct yourself better. Well, not that I don't share some of the blame, considering that all you know of the GE rate came from me.
Don't worry about it. Besides, I was interested in it. That wasn't on you. Well, Yua-chan, I will say that, outside of the crucifixion case, Nishijo has yet to be wiped off the suspect list. So, it's possible your theory could still be correct.
Does that mean that the police believe New Gen isn't actually being committed by a single culprit?
Can't say for sure. Especially since the 7th case only happened a little bit ago. Me personally? I suspect there's multiple.
Oh, that would make sense why they can't pin it on anybody. Ah, frick, so it still could be Takumi, and then Mimi on the side, and freaking Shogun somewhere. Frick me, man! This freaking sucks! I hate this, I can't figure out nothing, it is really making me mad. Triggering me, man. Frick, gosh, I want to have information, I can't figure nothing out half the time. I won't let that go until stuff starts making sense. Gosh dang it, that means it could be all of them. I can't even pin it on anybody, because it could be any of them at any point in time. Frick!
Whoops. Let my lips get a little too loose there. If they found out I'd been leaking all this, I'd get canned on the spot. Hope you all won't mind keeping this off the record.
Oh, so he didn't get fired, they just took him off the case, is that what I'm understanding? Okay. Alright, at least he didn't get fired then. Bond playfully placed his forefinger on his lip.
Well, how about we get to the topic at hand?
Huh?
Having thought that her report had been the reason she had been summoned, Yua tilted her head in puzzlement. Oh, so this is a new meeting. This isn't the old one then. Is that what I'm understanding? Or, okay. Oh, no, it still might be. It still might be the same one. I can't quite tell yet. I want to ask you a question about your school. Yua-chan, are you familiar with a girl named Aoi Senna?
Ah, alright, he's bringing Senna into it? Frick, she's gonna... Okay, so now Yua's probably gonna have to talk to Senna. Alright.
She should be one of your classmates. After pondering for a moment, Yua shook her head apologetically.
The name sounds somewhat familiar, but I don't believe I've spoken to her before.
I see.
Do you think she's the culprit?
Nah, this is something else entirely. Part of why I pulled an all-nighter yesterday was to look into her.
So, when you mentioned the culture surrounding high school girls, this is what you meant?
Momose, ever perplexed, received a wink and a grin from Ban, before he turned back toward Yua. Let's try this. Have you heard any rumors about a female student that's capable of some incredible magic tricks?
No. I don't think I have. I have no idea where you're going with this. What exactly is this about?
For example, a magic trick where she pulls a sword out of thin air. Yua's head snapped upward. Her expression was one of blatant astonishment.
How do you...
Despite being the one to ask the question, Bon also had a look of surprise on his face. Something come to mind? Yua hesitated, then, after a moment, nodded resolutely. Where did you see it?
An underpass by the station. Nishijo-kun and Kishimoto-san. They were...
Did she see the whole thing go down where there was like 2 different Ayases? Oh, frick, dude! I don't remember that. Okay, we must not have known she was there then at the time. Oh, frick. Oh, no. Uh-oh. I don't know if she should know about that. I don't know if Bon should know about that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that'll hurt us or help us, but okay. Fess, huh? Go on. Yua briefly recounted her dramatic pursuit from around 2 weeks prior. Oh, that's right, because she was chasing down Takumi. That's freaking right, I forgot. Yeah. Okay, so we just didn't know that she caught up with us then, but apparently she did. Oh, frick. How she had gone to a manga cafe to meet Nishijo Takumi. How she had been a little forceful when talking to him, causing him to flee. How she had frantically chased him around Shibuya. How he had then managed to evade her. And how right when she was about to give up, she had stumbled upon Takumi and Ayase entering the underpass.
So, I, hid above the staircase and spied on them without them knowing. They were both talking about something at the bottom of the stairs. Oh, as for what they were talking about, I wasn't able to hear them very clearly, but suddenly, out of nowhere, Kishimoto-san pulled a sword out of thin air. It was an incredibly large sword, and it didn't look like it would fit in her bag. You can't be serious.
Sounds exactly the same as what I saw.
Huh?
Though the one I saw wasn't done by Kishimoto. It was that Aoi Senna girl I was talking about. Actually, we've got eyewitness reports from all over Shibuya saying that Senna likes to stroll around with a sword.
Maybe that magic trick is a new trend among the young people of Shibuya? But what I saw, it didn't look like a magic trick at all. And did you catch something else? I don't know if you'll believe me or not, and I haven't told anyone about this, but back then, Kishimoto-san, she didn't just pull out a sword.
Yua's words faltered, and she slowly licked her lips. She looked lost on whether or not she should continue. Her eyes darted around the room. But eventually, she steeled her resolve and fixed her gaze upon Bon.
She split into 2 people. It was almost like there were 2 of them in the same place. It was just so bizarre.
A heavy silence covered the reception room. All 3 within it were at a complete loss for words. Regardless, while I don't know what the trick behind it is, there definitely seems to be multiple people around Shibuya that can pull off stunts pretty similar to magic tricks. Moreover, we've confirmed that Kishimoto Ayase and Aoi Senna have both made contact with Nishijo Takumi. I seriously doubt this is a coincidence.
Nishijo-kun.
Feels like nothing but surreal stuff has been following that kid. As Bon said that, his words from the call before reappeared in his mind. If this was just the work of monsters, magicians, or wizards, this would all be so much easier. Bon's murmur did not reach the other two. Adverse to the gloomy atmosphere, Momose took a breath and sipped on the tea her subordinate had brought over to her. Then, as she brought the cup back down, she put on a smile and unceremoniously made to change the topic.
By the way, Yua-chan, those frogs hanging off your bag, they're quite the fad nowadays, aren't they? Ah, yes.
Yua gave a sigh of relief, having been saved by the kind company president. They mean something, though. The Ghetto Froggies mean something, man. I don't know, I don't know what they frickin' mean, but they mean something.
What was it called again? Ghetto Froggy. Weren't there a whole host of different kinds released? About 10 in total, I believe. Yes. I only got them from a friend, so I don't know very much about them.
Why is it that things that are so sloppily put together get so darn popular? I mean, if we're going off raw looks here, not only am I better on the eyes, but I'm way cuter.
Bon-chan, save your ramblings for the bar.
I was just joking.
Well, actually, I don't really understand why they're so popular myself. Oh? Well, I think they're rather adorable.
Looks like your eye for these things is on the way out, Momo-chan.
Oh, really? Doesn't it prove that I'm more in tune to the public opinion than you? You ought to buy one yourself, Bon-chan.
I don't think that's a good idea. I have a feeling because the bad guy had one. I have a feeling that's how they're controlling people's minds. They're like using them as porters or whatever. Or no, the porters are the names of the people. Whatever the freaking router thing on the back, the modem. Remember? I bet they're using that. That's like a small version or something. They mean something. Ghetto Froggies mean something. Where in the world would you even go to buy these things?
There's exclusive Ghetto Froggy shops all over the place.
Exclusive shops?
I think you can get one on Friday if you wait in line for it.
Friday?
They, release a new design every Friday. The children that like them, want to complete their collections, and they seem to be trying to collect them all.
While Yua was in the midst of speaking, Bon had turned to Momose while scratching the stubble on his chin. Friday, huh? Things you wouldn't normally expect to be popular are popular. And the GE rate increases on the weekends. I freaking knew it! Oh yeah, he's right! The weekends were a thing, I forgot. That was such a passing comment. Yeah. Dude, that's how they get them. They get their emotions all riled up with the Ghetto Froggies somehow. And then they're able to be manipulated because of that. How much you want to bet, bro? They get so the GE rate increases on the weekends, and they're either artificially increasing it or that's just when it increases, so they use the Ghetto Froggy to get people's emotions high so that they can freaking mess with their brains and stuff like that, right? That's gotta be what it is. Frick, man. Oh, dang it. Okay. Trying to think, is there any other things that would... I just don't see how I can't figure out what the Ghetto Froggy actually represents yet. That's why I said it like that it could be the modem, but it just doesn't make sense when they've had porters. Like, why wouldn't the porters been carrying around Ghetto Froggies, right? That would have been less inconspicuous. But they carry around these like rucksacks or whatever, rucksacks with freaking like a modem in them. So why wouldn't you just put it in the Ghetto Froggy if that was the case? So I don't know. Okay, but that's got to be like heightening the emotions, right? Because that's a thing with the GE rate. Okay, all right.
Bon-chan, you can't possibly be suggesting...
This might be worth checking out. Interesting. Frick, man! Oh, this is gonna get... Okay. I can't tell if it's heating up or not yet. I'm still not sure, but we're figuring some stuff out now. Kind of, sort of. The second I'd poked my head into school on Thursday, Miss Mikun immediately invited me to go see Ayase in the hospital with him. Okay, so she is in the same hospital. Okay. Yeah, her name's Hazaki-kun, right? Or, excuse me, Hazaki-chan, or whatever, was the nurse. So, okay, so maybe she is in the same hospital that Takumi had been going to, but she just in the past used to go to a different one. That's got to be what it is. Okay. Given that the idea hadn't even crossed my mind, it caught me off guard. But before I'd even been able to respond, Mimi said she wanted to come too for whatever reason, and I ended up being swept along with her as a result. Now, let me be clear. I had a heart and all, but considering the menace known as Shogun was drawing closer and closer to me, I didn't think it was exactly the time to show it. I didn't want to die. Yeah, you could have fooled me, man. I don't think you're... He's like, I have a heart, when he's constantly saying, like, freaking, I wish all these freaking DQNs would die and suffer torturous deaths. If I had the ability, I would cut their hearts out and eat them in front of them. You know, he's like... Can't tell me you have a heart, man, when that's your inner thoughts. Your inner thoughts are winning all the time like that, man. Can't convince me. Coming in through the front entrance, Miss Mikun looked around the lobby in confusion.
What's wrong?
Well, I was just trying to figure out where Kishimoto's room was. Had he seriously come this far without knowing that? Ugh, this guy was beyond belief sometimes. This is the outpatient ward. The hospital ward is next door. Crap, that right?
Dai-chin, get a grip already!
A.H. Tokyo General Hospital. It was the hospital I'd gone to ever since I was a kid. I'd even come here just the other day, so I was pretty knowledgeable on where everything was. Okay, so she did go to the same hospital. Got you. Okay, that threw me off in the last episode, so, alright. Dr. Takashina's face flashed across my mind, and I involuntarily groaned to myself. As we walked to the hospital ward, Miss Mikun turned to me. So, which of these rooms is hers? How should I know? He's gonna be like, 'cause you're an Esper, right? This was a general hospital, so there were obviously a ton of different wards and departments. If I had to guess, probably not the surgery ward. But she could maybe be in the psychiatry ward. There hadn't been any visible injuries on Ayase after she'd fallen. And considering she'd attempted suicide, her mind had likely been brought to the brink, so her being in the psychiatric ward seemed very possible. Even I'd been taken to the psych ward after the uproar at O-Front. Huh. You sure know your stuff, Taku.
It's just common sense, you dork. Right, Taku?
I don't think it's necessarily common sense. I might not have known if I hadn't come here so many times in the past. Right as we were entering the hospital ward, Demi ground to a halt.
I need to use the bathroom real quick. You guys go on ahead.
With a wave of her hand, Demi quickly headed back toward the outpatient ward. I don't like that. I don't like that she just left. I don't like that she just left. Uh-oh. That's gotta mean something. I bet Miss Mikun's gonna also leave, and then it's just gonna be us, cause then freaking Ayase won't be like, hey, who are your friends? And then we'll constantly keep thinking they're real when they're not. That's what this freaking is, I guarantee it. Thinking that wandering around the ward would cause problems for the patients, we decided to ask for help at the nurses' station. And just like I'd predicted, they told us that she was on the floor for psychiatric patients. Oh, another choice? What the frick? The hospital room had an area of around 10 square meters. There was a toilet to the right of the entrance, and there was a bed near the back. The setting sun shone through the window on the other side of the room. Frick, okay. So, here's the thing. We know she's in here. You know she's just in the bathroom, because they always have a bathroom in hospital rooms, okay? She's gonna freaking be like, what happened to her? And she's gonna come out in her skivvies because she freaking is in a hospital room and doesn't think she has to dress up for anybody. And then it'll be embarrassing and awkward. I guarantee you if I click the green button, that's what's gonna happen. I can't. I would do it otherwise because it's just me and Miss Mikun. Or Taco and Miss Mikun. But, gosh. Could it be a red option still, though? Because it'd be like him freaking out that they did something to her, they took her, or something. Oh, frick. I can easily see it doing that with the green button. Easily. Oh, man. I don't feel like this is something to freak out about because she's probably just in the bathroom, so I'll stay neutral again this time. I know I've been staying neutral a lot, but it's mostly because neither option feels good. Mostly because the green one's going to lead to loot. Every time it's done it, I just can't trust it anymore. I told you, I just can't do it anymore. It's got to be the right environment for me to pick green. But the red button is only good when it really feels like it's bad. This doesn't feel like it's bad yet, you know? So it just feels like it makes sense to stay neutral, I guess. So I don't know. Ayase wasn't in the bed. Based on how the sheets were a little messed up, it looked like she had been there until very recently. Yeah. She's just in the bathroom, man. Oh, her sword is still in the corner. Can he see that? Oh, frick. Where the heck did she run off to? Who knows? The window was open. Wind blew against the white curtains, sending them fluttering in the breeze. For some odd reason, it had caught my eye ever since I'd come in the room. It felt like a negative delusion could start at any second. One where Ayase jumped from the rooftop and fell past the window. One where if I looked down, I'd find her sprawled on the ground, covered in blood, and with gray matter scattered everywhere. I had to check. I couldn't bear the burning curiosity. As if possessed, my shaky legs moved step by step toward the window. I stood right by it. The sky was dyed in evening glow. It was a crisp fall evening. What might have been below? The very picture of hell itself? With a gulp, I ever so slowly peeked out the window and down toward the ground. There was nothing out of the ordinary. I couldn't see Ayase's corpse anywhere. Guess I'd just been paranoid. But when I went to retract my head in relief, I noticed it. Huh? Whose eyes are those eyes? It says, whose eyes are those eyes? Oh no, oh no! On the window 1 story below, a single towel was waving in the wind. I assumed it was a normal white towel, but words of some kind were scrawled on it with dark blue lettering. Due to it flapping in the wind, I couldn't quite figure out what it said. I can. Not that I really cared. The words scribbled on some towels shouldn't have bothered me at all. But a part of me still tried desperately to read it. And when I looked closer, I saw... Yup. Oh, frick. Whose eyes are those eyes? I was speechless. I couldn't look away. And right after... Oh! The towel was suddenly pulled back through the window. Almost as if they had known I'd been looking at the towel at that very moment. No, that couldn't be possible. Nobody I knew could have been in the room below me. Nobody I knew had been hospitalized. Even if someone other than a patient were stalking me from the room below, it would have been impossible for them to predict that I would peer down from here, right? There were no surveillance cameras in the rooms. It was all just a coincidence. It had to be. But what if, maybe, just maybe, it wasn't? Terror creeping up my back, I turned back toward the entrance. There was nobody there. The door was shut. I immediately pulled myself away from the window, feeling incredibly uneasy. Don't think about it. Try as hard as you can not to. This was a coincidence. A simple coincidence. That was what I told myself. Check it out, Taku. There's some weird stuff over here. I suddenly realized Miss Mikun was calling me. He had taken a magazine from high up on the shelf and was staring at it fixedly. It's new, man. This is crazy. I can't believe this magazine is still going. New was a magazine that focused on all facets of the occult. UFOs, aliens, ESP, religion, urban legends, mysterious phenomena, super ancient civilizations, O-parts, etc. O-parts? Wait a minute! That was in The World Ends With You! Wait, I didn't know that was a real thing. I thought that was just the weird title of a song. Wait, what is O-parts? I didn't know that was a thing. I'm gonna have to look that up later. I didn't know O-parts was a thing. Huh? It wasn't difficult at all to believe that our very own schizo-crap-loving Ayase would be reading it. And this book here. Let's see. The Gladial Book of Psalms and Revelation? Must be some kind of fantasy book. Oh, it's an actual real book! I thought she was just making that bull crap up! Oh, frick, it's a real book in this, okay. I wasn't familiar with that specific book, but the term gladiol did ring a bell. Where had I heard it again? I was pretty sure it'd been pretty recent. Does dating Kishimoto come packaged with this crazy hobby of hers? Gosh, that'd be so annoying to deal with. Had he still not given up on dating Ayase? Even after being turned down in an instant last time? Now he's just now noticing that. You just went up to the window, you moron! What the frick? How'd you not notice that? Suddenly, Ayase's D-sword came into view in the corner of my eye. It was leaning against the window. It looked like a space battleship ripped right out of a sci-fi movie. My opinion on it hadn't really changed either. It was an awesome-looking sword, possessing equal parts beauty and cruelty. Even though it wasn't glowing, and even though it just was leaning against the window, it still had the typical impressive feeling of presence to it. Miss Mikun showed no sign of noticing the sword. Huh. So the eyes of normal people couldn't see them after all. No, he's not real, dude. I wonder if I were to take it without Ayase knowing, would the sword become mine? If I could really obtain a D-sword with 0 effort, then there was no time to waste here. The desire to do so bubbled up within me. With a gulp, I timidly, ever so timidly, reached out for the sword. I grasped the hilt. That's actually a good idea, right? Because he's like, well, I can see this sword, I couldn't see my own, so if I can see it and just grab it and take it, then maybe I'll be able to either have one of my own or I'll make it mine or something. A little selfish because he's taking it away from Ayase when she specifically said that you need that to find salvation and whatever, you know, giving the concept that it's to protect yourself. But I think that's a smart concept to think about. That it's like, oh, if I grab it, that this one that I can see, maybe something will happen. Or, well, I'd tried to grasp it. But my hand had gone right through it, leaving me grasping only thin air. I tried once more, but the result was no different. Oh, okay, so you can't touch something that's not your own sword, or your own delusion, I guess, got you. I couldn't grab it. I couldn't even touch it. Probably because she didn't real boot it, right? So it's just for her only. If she real booted it, it would become real, so. Did that mean that the sword wasn't real booted? Yeah, exactly. As mutual recognition hadn't been achieved, it was no more than Ayase's delusion. An illusion. A dream. An after-image. What the heck are you doing, dude? Miss Mikun looked at me in confusion. We then waited for around 10 minutes, but Ayase still showed no signs of coming back. Same thing with Dimi. She was still in the bathroom, apparently. Where could she have actually gone? Are they having, like, girl time in the bathroom or something, man? Doesn't make sense, because there should be a bathroom in the freaking, in the hospital room, but I don't know how it works in Japan, so. Did Dimi know how to find this room? We'd asked for the location of the nurse's station after Dimi had left. She could very well be wandering all throughout the hospital as we spoke, not having any idea where we were or where this place was. She is a bit of a ditz. It might not have occurred to her to ask someone like we did. We should go look for her. I felt uneasy not being with Dimi. I couldn't say for sure that this hospital was safe. If Shogun were reading my mind right now, he would have known that I was here. Good idea. I'm getting bored of waiting, and I know you're pretty darn lonely without her around after all. Hey, give it to me straight. What's the deal with you and Dimi? Uh-huh. I'm asking if you two are going out. You've definitely been giving off the vibes recently. We aren't going out. Despite what I'd said, my face was still flushed. Me and Dimi dating. It was true that I'd had delusions of that many times. I hadn't been interested in 3D in the past, but nowadays, Dimi was becoming more and more important to me with every passing day. Dude, but she wants you dead, bro. Shogun's the only one keeping you alive. She was like, I want to erase you, so like... But you don't know that. It's like, gosh, dang it. But back when Dimi had said she'd stay by my side, she'd also said the following. Because we're friends, of course. In other words, she only saw me as a friend. There was no way in heck she'd want to start a romantic relationship with an otaku freak like me. Besides, Dimi would probably be a bit slow on the uptake with that kind of thing. I split ways with Miss Mikun and went to look for Dimi or Ayase. Miss Mikun had gone downstairs, so I decided to take my search above. Okay. Ami-chan! Where'd you go? Ami-chan! I passed by an older patient in the corridor, probably around his 50s. He was staggering down the hall while calling out to someone named Ami-chan over and over. I ignored him and headed farther into the corridor. Nobody seemed to mind me wandering around the hospital. Maybe since I'd used to come here pretty often. No, there's a reason, man. This is a Nozomi corporation right here. This hospital's just a front, dude. But for every corner I turned, and for every door I saw open, I felt my heart rate increase at the thought of Shogun appearing from them. And not only that, but the occasional crazed screams and cries coming from any number of directions weren't exactly good for my mental state. The corridor was uniformly dyed a cream color. Some of the rooms were open, some were closed, and to make sure that there were no signs of Shogun being around, I peeked into a whole bunch of them. Each room had 2 beds lined up next to each other, with person-shaped bulges lying underneath the sheets. Likely sleeping patients, but their faces were always in a blind spot, so I couldn't see them. There weren't many people walking through the corridors. Just the man calling for Ami-chan and a single nurse. Those were the only 2 I'd passed by. I didn't really want to be here. I didn't know why, but that feeling refused to leave me. The atmosphere was heavy. It wasn't oppressive, per se, but I had the nagging feeling that I shouldn't have been there. A little farther in front of me, the corridor made a 90-degree turn to the right. Did the hospital rooms continue through here? I wondered. As I pondered that, I cautiously turned the corner.
Oh, whoa! What the frick? I told you it was a front! I told you! That makes no sense! That makes no sense. I told you it was a front, dude. Ha! I'm so smart, my freaking brain! Oh my gosh, it's so wrinkly. Gosh, dang it, it's so wrinkly, dude. Oh my gosh, my brain looks like a freaking 90-year-old elderly man, dude. Holy crap. Oh man, I called that bullcrap. And I was immediately met with a wall. It sat in the middle of my path. And in vast contrast to the entirely cream-colored hospital, it was covered in black paint from top to bottom. That doesn't look like a wall though, man. Doesn't that look like a freaking, like that looks like a barrier. You know what I'm talking about? Like that looks like a force field type barrier. That does not look like an actual wall. Cause like if you notice the rails look like they're actually going into the darkness. So it looks like the hospital should go past there, but it doesn't. That's freaking weird. A complete dead end. Nah, man. For some reason, I didn't know. My pulse quickened. I couldn't move even a single step from where I'd stood. My vision wobbled and shook. Thinking it was vertigo, I tried to close my eyes and massage my eyelids with my fingertips, only to feel my eyeballs twitching beneath them. A chill as cold as ice crawled up from my feet. I stood dead in my tracks, forgetting how to even breathe, staring at the black in front of me. Yo. It felt as if it would suck me in, as if it would swallow me whole. A deep, never-ending darkness. Even though there shouldn't have been anyone there, it felt like somewhere, someone was watching me. Oh man. God's gaze pierced into the nape of my neck,
Its presence was on a completely different level compared to how it would be at my base. Frick, man. Don't look. Mustering all my mental strength, I managed to close my eyes. I finally was able to breathe again, and I stepped back while gasping for breath. With my head facing down toward the ground, I fled through the corridor. I sped back to the floor with Ayase's room, gasping and wheezing all the way. I touched the nape of my neck and felt sticky sweat oozing from it. But the sweat wasn't just coming from there. My entire body was drenched in it. What the heck was going on? Was Shogun reading my mind? The presence of God's gaze wouldn't go away. My wheezing and shivering refused to calm down. Exhaustion had devoured my motivation in an instant. I wanted to go home. I wanted to have Demi take care of me as we locked ourselves in my base. It wasn't like me visiting Ayase would make her happy. If anything, it would probably do the complete opposite. I was an idiot for coming along with Miss Mikun. The guy clearly had an agenda, and it was at complete odds with me. I had no reason to be here. I should just go home. Before either Shogun or Yua appeared. They always appeared whenever I least expected it. I bet they'd pin down where I was with ease. No matter where I was, I needed to be prepared. I'm telling you, man, that's why Demi went away. She's like, oh, I gotta go to the little girl's room, but then the freaking wall was right there. I freaking knew it. It's because they can't be there when he's gonna experience some freaking messed up garbage or something, because they're part of the delusion. So they're there to, like, act like everything's fine when everything's not actually fine, but then they leave when he figures stuff out, which I don't know what that means exactly, but, okay. Alright. I mean, technically, Miss Mikun was like, what are you doing, when he was grabbing for the sword that he could see that wasn't actually real, right? But still, it's not the same. Tracing the wall with my hand, I staggered my way to Ayase's hospital room. Had Miss Mikun gotten back yet? Hoping he'd found Demi, I dragged my legs forward.
Yamai-san was calling out to Ami-chan again.
I heard the voice of a nurse coming from ahead. Looking up, I saw that two of them were walking in my direction. One was young, and the other was a well-built, middle-aged lady.
Who on earth could he be searching for? It comes from a ghost story that's been told in this hospital for a very long time. Supposedly, there is a phantom hospital room that nobody can see, and Ami-chan is hospitalized there. The rumor has been going around for years and years.
I looked back down and waited for the two to pass by. I held my breath to hide my ragged breathing. I could easily tell they were giving me suspicious looks, but they still ignored me all the same. After the two nurses passed me, I continued my endeavor and arrived at the nurses' station. I must have missed Ayase's room, as it should have been a bit before. Clicking my tongue, I wiped the sweat off my forehead. It still felt like I was being watched. The depths of my chest throbbed with pain. My ears were ringing too. I felt absolutely terrible. My body was a total wreck. I hadn't felt anything like this at all when I'd first got here. What the heck had happened to me in my body? With the pain overwhelming me and becoming too much to bear, I went to ask for help from the nurses at the nurses' station. Oh, there she is. Oh no, hey, there he is. Oh man, one of the few times we actually get to see his face. But there was only one nurse there. I bet she's the only person working there, dude. She's the only real nurse working there. How much you want to bet? Gosh. She didn't seem to have noticed me. Her back was turned to me, and she was mumbling something while deeply absorbed in whatever she was working on. I just had a thought, too. What if... Okay, here's my conspiracy brain working again. What if Mia didn't actually die in the group dive? And what if instead they had her death faked so that she could go work for Nozomi, and she's actually this girl. She's freaking Hazaki-san, or whatever her name is. Or Hazuki-san, I think is her name. Hazuki-san, yeah. What if this is actually Mia? Because the eyes are similar to Yua's. I just wonder. I freaking wonder, and she just kind of dyed her hair a little bit different or something, you know? Frick, I just wonder. Okay? Just throwing it out there. She didn't seem to have noticed me. Her back was turned to me, and she was mumbling something while deeply absorbed in whatever she was working on. In her hand was a clipboard. She was writing something on the form stuck to it. Oh! May the divine light save us. 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 Oh no, not the divine light! That's what Senna told us to be afraid of, right? The divine light, the cosmic church of the divine light, right? Oh no, may the divine light save us. May the divine light save us. Frick. I'd seen this person many times before. She was that one nurse. Hazuki-san. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Oh. This was the AH Tokyo General Hospital's psychiatry ward. Of course she'd be here. She'd already attended to me twice in the past month alone. Oh man, this was perfect. If I called out to her, she'd surely help me with whatever An urgent-sounding ringing noise suddenly rang through the room. Hazuki-san put down her clipboard in surprise, then operated a switch with her hand. The ringing sound was cut off. What was it, a pager? Oh! She'd probably been paged to do some nursing thing, as she rushed out of the nurse's station in a flurry. Oh, dude, I bet she got the call, man. She got the call. She didn't notice he was there, and then freaking, while she's writing down, may the divine light save us or whatever, they're like, code red, he's looking at you. He'll notice. And then so she had to like quickly run away, right? Or something? Oh, no. Why hadn't she noticed me? Even though I was suffering from so much pain right behind her. I could barely stay standing. The vertigo was awful. With no other choice, I decided to go to the nurse's station to wait for someone to get back. I found a stool around where Hazuki-san had been standing and sat down. My head ached. It felt like it had back when the earthquake hit a week ago. But this pain had a different nature to it. Or so it felt anyway. I needed something to drink. Just trying to breathe hurt my throat, likely because of all the gasping and wheezing I'd been doing. I casually looked around the area. My eyes then landed upon the clipboard Hazuki-san had been holding. And the very next moment, what was scrawled on it entered my field of vision. No, maybe she wanted us to see it? Because she would have taken the clipboard with her. What the frick was that? Huh? Whenever I'd gone in for a checkup, Hazuki-san had always been writing something on that clipboard of hers, all while having the same gentle smile on her face. She's not real, I told you, she's not a real doctor! She's not a real nurse! She's not real, she's not taking notes, she's just freaking there, she's a mannequin for them, dude. She's just a face. She's not real. Dude, I told you, I knew it wasn't real, frick! I thought that she'd been writing down the prescription she planned on giving me, my temperature, things like that. Huh? That was why. What was drawn there was beyond my comprehension. Oh no.
That's the freaking crucifixion. Oh no, dude. Oh, frick, man. Oh no.
What the? I had seen it before. I had already seen this crappily drawn sketch somewhere before. But where? Where had I seen it? Did we? My head ached. A stabbing pain pierced through it. Wait, I don't remember seeing this, did we? Did we see this? Where did we see this? The hairs on the nape of my neck stood on end. Don't look at me! I picked up the clipboard. Countless medical forms were clipped onto it. I went to flip up the page. The second piece of paper had the same crappy drawing. I flipped to the next page. The third was also the same. Oh no. And the fourth, and the fifth, and the sixth. Each and every one of them had the same drawing scribbled on it, again and again and again. This drawing was the crucifixion.